Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. What is going on, good people? Another thrilling and fantastic weekend of Pittsburgh sports is in the books, and we are here to recap it here on this Monday, and going to be fully transparent here. This live stream here on this Monday going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit more brief than what our normal live streams on Mondays usually are. Usually we get a bunch into depth about what went on over the weekend. We get to talk things out, catch up a little bit. But tonight, we're going to speed this whole process up. We're going to say what we need to say and get the hell out of here, because tonight it is a massive night of Pittsburgh sports for two of the Pittsburgh professional sports teams. The biggest one, we'll start off talking about hockey here in a moment. The Pittsburgh Penguins, no hyperbole, playing in their biggest game of the season here tonight, given their opponent, where the game is at, what is at stake, the chances of making the playoffs for each of these teams, depending on which way the pendulum may swing tonight in the win column. All of it so important, and we want to make sure that we watch every single bit of it here tonight so that we can come back on here maybe tomorrow or Wednesday and talk about it in depth. Massive night ahead for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Also, a massive night for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their first series of the season is now in the books. They played 2 games over the weekend to wrap up their season opening series with the New York Mets. Were able to salvage 1 game from that series. There are still a bit of issues with this team to work through, but hey, they get their first stub of the season. That's out of the way. Now we go into a rivalry night for them as well. They kick off a 3-game road series with the Cincinnati Reds, only the most hated rival of the Steelers, of the Pirates in the National League Central Division. So always want to beat up on the Reds. Hopefully the Bucs are able to do that. Mentioned the Steelers there. They're on my mind a little bit because sandwiched in between our hockey and our baseball talk here, NFL league meetings going on right now in Phoenix, Arizona. And we got to hear from the first time in a little while, maybe in a, professional setting since Mike McCarthy, since his introductory press conference as head coach, Mike McCarthy, he spoke down there at the annual league meetings for the NFL. He was on the Pat McAfee show, also spoke to a couple local reporters as well. We will get into what all he had to say about Aaron Rodgers, Michael Pittman, Will Howard, the draft, all of that McCarthy covered, and we will recap and give our thoughts on what the coach said as well. But before we do any of that here on this Monday evening, if you are new here, of course, on your way in, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss a live stream or video ever again on this channel. Draft season coming up right around the corner. Business on the channel about to pick up here in short order. Also, I would appreciate it if you like this live stream right now. Share it so we can continue growing the viewership here on the channel. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or opinions that are on your mind tonight, please do not hesitate to get those in the comments section. I enjoy interacting with you fine folks, popping up your comments just like this at a moment's notice, and we can talk things out, interact that way. With all of that now done, our introductory, agenda of what's going to go on in the show here today and telling you to subscribe to the channel, let's hop right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. We are now roughly 2.5 weeks away from the ending of the regular season, and it looks like it's going to come down to a photo finish here for the Penguins when it comes to making the playoffs. They got a big game tonight in Long Island against the Islanders. We'll get to that here in a moment. Want to start off talking about the game that happened over the weekend. The Penguins at home taking on the Dallas Stars. No Sidney Crosby and no Evgeny Malkin for the Pens against the Dallas Stars over the weekend. Crosby dealing with that lower body injury that he suffered against the Ottawa Senators back on Thursday. And Evgeny Malkin again missed another game with an upper body injury. Both of those guys, both of those stars, key cogs in the offense of the Penguins here, still day-to-day with their injuries. Rucker McGroarty, he got called up on Saturday from Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Avery Hayes and Una Koppanen, those two forwards, were sent down to the minors. McGroarty gets put in the lineup. Stuart Skinner in net. A bit of a jumbling of the lines for head coach Dan Muser. Carter Kell is back to playing center, and we had an all-kid third line. McGroarty, Koivunen, and Kindle. You're maybe talking about 80 or so games. Or no, probably more than that. You're probably talking about no more than 200 games combined of NHL experience between those three. On to the game itself. Hot start for the Pens without a Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin. Pens get an early power play. They convert a shot from the point from Erik Karlsson, tipped in front by Anthony Mantha, a PPG for PGH to get the game started. Not even 2.5 minutes into the contest. The Pens actually so good out of the gate on Saturday night. They held the Dallas Stars with 0 shots for the first 10 minutes of the game. Now, the Stars, no slouch whatsoever. They are second in the Central Division in the NHL. The only reason that they are not first, I believe they have already 100 points on the season. That's because they share a division with only the best team in hockey right now, the Colorado Avalanche. So the Pens holding Dallas to no shots in the first period. That tells you about the grit and determination that they have without their captain and their assistant captain, Evgeny Malkin. They did need to kill off a little bit of penalties there in the first period. They got into some penalty trouble. The refs, very ticky-tacky. We'll get to more on the refs here in a second. Don't you worry. Another Penguins game and another controversial situation that goes against the Penguins because, of course, it had to happen. Great stuff by the Pens in the first period. They went into intermission up 1-0. To begin the second period, the Stars were able to tie up the hockey game. I believe his last name is Ritzkovian for the Dallas Stars. I have no idea how you get that pronunciation of his name given the way that it's spelled. He was able to get a greasy goal against Stuart Skinner, poke it home to tie the game. Not too long after that, Erik Karlsson, EK65. Man, I can't tell you how many times I have said it, and it's crazy because it feels like we're saying the same thing every single time we are on here talking about Erik Karlsson. He may single-handedly be keeping the Penguins season alive, and I would not be shocked if the Penguins, when you have to name a team MVP at the end of the season, that Karlsson, he won't be unanimous, but be pretty damn close to unanimous as the Penguins' top player in 2026. He gets space and opportunity. He capitalizes on it. A bar-down goal on Jake Ottinger to make it 2-1. Karlsson, that was his 9th multi-point game in the month of March. He is the 6th defenseman in NHL history to record 9 multi-point games in a single month. He joins Bobby Orr, Cale Makar, and Paul Coffey, some pretty outstanding in the Larry Robinson and Dennis Potvin as well. Some elite company that EK65 was joining right there. Unfortunately, after that job well done by EK65, that is when all the wheels fell off the bus. And then EK65, Karlsson, he was a part of the wheels falling off, but not in the way that you may think. Noel Acciari, he ends up blocking a shot, gets himself hurt on the play as well. Ended up going down the tunnel a bit for the Penguins. Jason Robertson, star winger for the Dallas Stars. Remember when there was some trade rumors around Jason Robertson and the Penguins were allegedly calling about him? Yeah, well, he goes there and haunts the Penguins, ties up the game with a power play goal. The Stars get their second power play in short order in the second period. Mikko Rantanen, former Colorado Avalanche, he is able to bury a one-timer. Stu Skinner had absolutely no chance of catching up to it. That gave Dallas the 3-2 lead. And then Dallas would eventually take a 4-2 lead. And it was Leon Bischel, the defenseman for the Stars, who gets the goal. Problem is, with the goal, not that it, was a long-range shot, and there was a tiny bit of a screen for Stuart Skinner, but definitely one he should have had. The problem with that, the goal should not have counted. Reason why? Bischel should have gotten a penalty. Erik Karlsson trails Leon Bischel behind the net. Bischel, as he then comes out from behind the net and circles his way back up to the point, grabs the stick out of Erik Karlsson's hand and literally chucks it. Not, like a javelin throw, but gives it a good enough toss about 20 to 30 feet away from Erik Karlsson. Karlsson, and this play happened right in front of the referee too, palms to the sky, says he took my effing stick. Nothing gets called. Bischel ends up getting the puck back like 2 seconds later and rips home the goal. The dude who should have been given a penalty for ripping the stick out of Erik Karlsson's hand ends up scoring the goal. And you can just throw that on the pile, write it on the long list, longer than Santa Claus's naughty and nice list of calls or no calls that have screwed the Pittsburgh Penguins time and time again this season, most of which have come within the last 2 to 3 weeks here. I mean, absolutely ridiculous at this point. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist here, but I mean, these calls are just getting by the game more blatant and blatant against the Penguins. I don't know if it had when the Winnipeg Jets player plowed Karlsson into Artur Shilovs. That goal counted, and the Penguins passed out a screenshot of the rule book in the NHL to the press box people, and that got out. I don't know if the NHL is like getting back at the Pens because they wanted to make a mockery out of their officiating in the rule book there, but absolutely ridiculous. It happens right in front of the official. Carlson, hey, he took my effing stick. You can hear on the hot mic there in the arena. The referee then chirped back at Carlson. F you. Carlson gives him an F you back, and then goal is scored. Carlson, really a guy that keeps himself well-tempered, I think, most nights. He absolutely loses his mind. Very well-deserved. It's just insane anymore. These calls not going the Penguins' way. That is now, within the last month, like, what are we talking about here? 5 or 6 goals on the Penguins, or for the Penguins, that should have been in their favor, that ends up going the other way, and it ends up changing the game. There's a big difference in that hockey game from Saturday night between a 4-2 lead for the Dallas Stars and a 3-2 lead. And a clear as day penalty should have been a power play for the Penguins. It results in the puck going into the back of their own net. Absolutely insane that it doesn't get called, that at that point in the game, the Penguins couldn't have even gotten a clear call like that because the Stars had 5 power plays to 1 for the Penguins at that point in the contest in the second period. Pens, no Crosby, no Malkin, going up against a juggernaut team, the Stars. Just so much there called for the Penguins to get a power play, but it didn't. Dallas ends up putting one in the back of their own net, in the back of the Pens net. Just crazy at this point. I mean, we're going to come on here. I'm already going to pencil in for the next time we're live streaming, probably after tonight's game. I'm already going to pencil in something. We're going to rant and rave about this latest new missed call against the Penguins that ends up screwing them out of, a better situation or possibly a win. Might as well write it in Sharpie every single day now at this point because things are getting ridiculous. Carlson had every right to be upset, and just an embarrassment from the NHL officiating. It's horrendous at this point for the Penguins, and I'm glad to see that other fan bases around the NHL are starting to pick up on it. You've had multiple fans from other teams saying, oh, I thought this whole time that Penguins fans were just, typical pitching and complaining about a call not going their way. But now that we're actually paying attention a little bit more, man, this is absolutely horrid. So glad to see that more people are starting to open their eyes that the Penguins all season really have been playing 2 opponents in each game, both the other team and the officiating. Dallas ended up carrying that 4-2 lead into the third period. Noel Acciari, thankfully, did make a return for the Penguins. He was able to deflect home a Elmer Soderblom shot with about 11 minutes left to go. That made it 4-3. Penguins had a power play, couldn't convert, tried to pull the empty net with Stuart Skinner, but they just couldn't get set up in the Dallas zone. They lose the puck. Maverick Bourque ends up scoring 2 empty net goals for the Stars. The final score, 6-3. And I saw this. This actually shocked me from being a person, live there in the arena on Saturday night. The Penguins, just 12 shots in that game against Dallas back on Saturday. That is one of the lowest shot totals in a single game in Penguins history. I believe they've had, quite the handful of 11-shot games in their franchise history. But even with the Pens having 12 shots, I will give them credit. Game felt pretty contested for about 35 to 40 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes of that hockey game. They had, their slumps in the second period, but I thought they played a decent, first period, played a hell of a first period, actually. Third period, they were able to push back a little bit. But anyways, they lose 6-3. They don't get any points whatsoever. Good thing also Saturday night, you had the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the San Jose Sharks, and the Sharks, they were able to beat Columbus in overtime, keep Columbus tied with the Pens at 88 points. And that brings us into tonight's. I think we've said all we needed to say about that Dallas game and how horrible the officiating was, and, the things that went wrong with the Pens not having Crosby and Malkin in the lineup. But now, erase it. I know, typical, cliche sports talk. Gotta erase, those bad memories. Take the good with you. Leave the bad in the past and focus in on tonight's game. I certainly hope that the Penguins are going to do that, because tonight, You see it there on your screen. No hyperbole. The biggest game of the season for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking at the playoff race right now, the playoff standings, we'll focus here on the Metropolitan Division for the most part. Metropolitan Division. Penguins currently right now in third place at 88 points. 1 point above them at 89 points in second place in the Metro. We're going to exclude the Carolina Hurricanes with 98 points from this exercise because they're far and away going to win the Metropolitan Division. The Islanders and Penguins separated by 1 point in the standings right now. And below the Islanders and the Pens, you got the Columbus Blue Jackets at 88 points. And also, don't look now in your rearview mirror, the Philadelphia Flyers. They are on an absolute heater right now. We'll get to them here in the Extra Pittsburgh Sports News segment here in a little bit. 86 points now for Philly. You've got a 4-team race right now, all within 3 points of each other for 2 spots in the Metropolitan Division, and then maybe 1 wild card spot with Boston, starting to separate themselves from the pack in the wild card race for the number 1 wild card. So this is absolutely a critical game here tonight for the Penguins. It's almost, dare I say, you got 9 games left to go, I think, if you're the Pens. The Islanders, they also have played 1 more game than the Pens to this point in the season, so that helps out Pittsburgh with the Islanders getting 1 last opportunity to put more points on the board. Dare I say, it's make or break, win or go home type game here tonight with the Islanders. You lose to the Islanders in regulation tonight, if you're the Penguins, then all of a sudden you probably fall out of the playoff race, and maybe even Columbus, maybe even Philly overtakes you tonight, and all of a sudden you're the 4th team out of 4 fighting for one of these 2 spots. And the Pens here, looking at some of these odds, according to moneypuck.com, a betting site, a loss here in regulation tonight for the Penguins decreases their chances of making the playoffs by 13%. They fall all the way down to 57.2%. A regulation win for the Pens, though, that boosts them up to over 80%, 83.3% chance of making the playoffs should the Pens beat the Islanders in regulation tonight. Now, this more likely to happen than a regulation win for either squad, if we're being honest here. If the game goes to overtime or a shootout win or shootout or overtime win for the Penguins here tonight does take their chances of making the playoffs above 80%, gives it to 80.7, and it only drops their chances of making the playoffs to about 68.3%. That's only a 1.8% decrease there for the Penguins. So still, though, massive game. Don't want the game to go to overtime. The Pens need a regulation win in a bad way. They've gone to overtime, and I mean, God knows how many games over this month of March. They're starting to get tired, I feel. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but you go out here tonight, handle your business against the Islanders, get back in second place in the division. You keep rolling. Hopefully you get Crosby and Malkin back here soon enough. By the way, Crosby and Malkin not going to play in tonight's game. He's still day-to-day with his injury. Crosby, a full participant in practice yesterday. He is traveling with the team, or is with the team right now in Long Island, and he is a game-time decision per Dan Muse. But got to really have this one if you're the Penguins. And it also stretches into tomorrow night as well. They take on the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. Do the Pens. Don't mean to look ahead to that game past this game tonight, but you almost have to right now. Detroit, 86 points. They're on the outside looking in for a playoff spot. So every single point, every single win, even more critical than what it once before. We've been in this every point matters. Every single game is a playoff game mode now for the past couple weeks. But now this game, in terms of playoff game hypotheticals, this is like a game 7. And you got to come out here and you got to show everything you got if you're the Penguins. You either win, you move back into second place in the division, or you could all of a sudden be in the position that the Detroit Red Wings, Ottawa Senators, Philadelphia Flyers are. You're on the outside looking in, and you got to have some things fall your way. Take control tonight if you're the Penguins of your own destiny. Got to do it if you're the Pens. Malkin out. Crosby maybe in. We'll see here. He's a game time decision. Maybe before we log off tonight, we get the starting lineup for the Penguins. Noel Acciari, Brian Rust. They did not practice yesterday with their various bumps and bruises. We'll see if they get in the lineup as well. Avery Hayes from Wilkes-Barre Scranton got recalled today. Arturs Shilovs will be in net for the Pens. Massive night ahead for the Penguins against the New York Islanders. Let's all hope and pray that the Pens got some grit and fight in them tonight. Love this quote from Dan Muse today. He said on the Islanders matchup tonight, quote, "This is what we've been working for all year. To get to this point in the year and play in these types of games, this is an easy one to get up for." Certainly hope that the actual players on the ice say the same. Pens Islanders, rivalry night, massive game ahead here for the Buccos, or for the Pens. Going to get into the Buccos. They have a rivalry night of themselves too. Absolutely hate the Reds, despise them. Oh boy, 6 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, like this live stream, share this live stream in the comment section. Get your thoughts, questions, and opinions in. We go to the comment section right now. Vegas, stopping back in here. What's going on, Vegas? Yeah, no Malkin tonight with the hand injury. It will be an extremely tough task for the Pens tonight. No Crosby, no Malkin, going into one of their places that they never win anymore. We've been talking about how the Pens never win in Raleigh, North Carolina against the Hurricanes. They never win in Ottawa against the Senators. Thankfully, they exorcised those demons back on Thursday. Now you go here to Long Island, UBS Arena there. The Penguins, I mean, I don't know when's the last time they won there. Maybe it's more recent than I'm thinking, but just think back to the recent history of big games the Penguins have played in that building. Those playoff series before the Pens went on this 3-year playoff list drought. All of that for the Penguins. A big game in New York, usually not a recipe for success. It will be. It would also be, massive to get Crosby back tonight, but we'll have to wait and see for that as well. Chances with Sid go up exponentially. Without him, they decrease rapidly here. Thomas Dowdy in here as well. Welcome, Thomas. Game-changing goals too. Yeah, going back to the officiating, it's always the most important goals of the game that go against the Penguins. Like the Winnipeg Jets goal from a couple weeks ago. That gave the Jets the lead, I believe. You had the Justin Brazeau one from the Colorado Avalanche game. It was like 4-1 Colorado at that point. Who knows if Brazeau's goal counts if the Pens don't get a little bit momentum generated there. They looked like they were starting to feel it around that goal. Boom. Goal gets called back. All momentum cut off at the head. What's the other one that just happened? The Ottawa Senators game. Forgot about this one. Claude Giroux in the blue paint. Makes contact with Stuart Skinner. Nobody around him affecting Giroux to go into the blue paint. That goal, I believe, was the go-ahead goal for the Senators, or the tying goal at least in that game. Game goes to overtime, and the Senators get a point because the refs didn't make their correct call and call that back. And then this one, Erik Karlsson. Massive difference between a 2-goal lead for the Stars and a 1-goal lead. And just, I don't know. I don't know. You might, see a full-fledged crash out tonight for me if in this game of all games. If there was ever a game, for it to be called fair, like nonpartisan, right down the middle, I would really hope it be tonight's game because, I mean, the Pens lose. If they lose to the Islanders, it would be terrible enough as is. But if it's on another ref ball game where the officials end up affecting the final score, then you might see a full-on riot from Penguins media. I mean, I know the players already in that locker room are infuriated. So is, I'm sure the coaching staff, Kyle Dubas and all that. It's going to be a full-on, what show online and in the NHL front offices if the Penguins end up getting screwed again here tonight. Here's to hoping that doesn't happen. Thomas here. Hopefully the Penguins don't get screwed at some point. Muse has to lose it and make a point. I think he's already starting to lose it, Dan Muse. Wonder if it's a Dan Muse thing, too. I know it'd be like way extreme at this point with how many calls that have gone against the Pens, but do you think, maybe some of these challenges for Dan Muse, if it's like a 50-50 call, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt because, oh, look, it's a rookie coach here, first-time head coach. Let's not make his, ego too big here. We got to put him in his place. I'm hoping that it's, nothing malicious or nefarious like that. But at this point, you got to wonder. Anything's on the table for as terrible these calls have been against the Penguins. They have been trying to get fancy with the extra passes instead of pulling the trigger. And when they don't, they have been well wide and of the net, leaving no chance for a rebound shot. Talking about the Pens, yeah, they definitely do need to shoot the puck way more. 12 shots in the last game. Just somebody's got to be the trigger man every now and again. Igor Chinakhov used to be that guy, but now either he's passing or the Pens aren't getting him the puck enough anymore. I used to love when Igor Chinakhov was the shoot guy. Recently, I think it's been Ricard Raquel who's been doing the most of the shooting, but if anybody's going to be the shooter here, I know this guy creates offense in many, many ways. Carlson, EK65, he's got to be the shooting guy now all the time. I mean, just get pucks on net, throw everything on net, see if you can get a dirty, greasy goal here. You're not going to skill your way to a victory, especially not with Crosby and Malkin. So you might as well, muck it up, get down and dirty near the blue paint and try to bang one in. But then you remember, Pens, they even so much as fart in the goaltender's direction, they'll get called for a penalty. So maybe it is the Pens being too fancy, not wanting to get near the goalie. It's got to be the perfect shot because if it's a rebound or something, they'll find some sort of contact to nail the Pens with there. 4-game swing tonight. Indeed, it is, Thomas. Was especially very frustrating paying money for tickets to experience that much bad officiating in person. It almost feels like a movie that, you watch. It's almost comical when you watch it on TV. All of those, poor officiating calls, but then to see it in person and to see all the little stuff that they miss too in person, from at home viewing point, you can only see what the camera shows you, but some other stuff too. It's just absolutely terrible. And it took for the Penguins to get a power play late in that game. It literally took the stick of one of the Dallas players. I think it might have been Nils Lundqvist or something. Literally the stick jammed into the little opening in the bottom of his skate between the skate holder and the boot itself. Literally took Soderblom getting hogtied damn near for them to call something. Just absolutely horrendous officiating. It needs to straighten up. It needs to get back to some sort of normal ground here tonight. 6 of you still in here. Did mention at the beginning of the show, we're going to try to move things quicker through beginning of the show here today, get through everything we need to talk about in a timely manner. For the first time in a while, we talked about, hockey, of course, start the show. Football making a quicker appearance rather than just being an extra Pittsburgh sports news segment. The NFL annual league meetings, they are ongoing right this second, actually, down in Phoenix, Arizona. Pretty much every single head coach and general manager is down there, except for Omar Khan. You're seeing here, this is the head coach picture on your screen right now, but no Omar Khan in the general manager picture. I wonder what that's all about. I'm hoping that, he's not just, taking the weekend off here. I'm hoping he's actually doing some legitimate work while he is away from the annual league meetings, or maybe he just didn't, make the photo. I don't know here. Anyways, Mike McCarthy, he is in that picture. I believe he is over here to the left, second one in from the left in the top row right there. Excellent dark blue shirt right there. McCarthy. Also weird seeing no Mike Tomlin in these pictures. But anyway, I digress. McCarthy making a few media availabilities today. I believe it's for the first time in a actual professional manner since his introductory press conference. McCarthy had the introductory press conference. I believe he might have had a stop or two on the Pat McAfee show since being hired, but did not hear from McCarthy at the combine, and now we hear from him at the annual league meetings. Few interesting things from McCarthy, who, of course, being on the McAfee show, had to talk about how great it is to be back in Pittsburgh. Said McCarthy that he could see his hometown neighborhood or his childhood neighborhood from his office window at the Steelers facility. That's pretty cool. The big thing, though, out of a bunch that McCarthy had to talk about, McCarthy on Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, this whole, we're talking, but we're not really revealing what we're talking about thing with McCarthy still ongoing. Said that he is still regularly talking to Rodgers. It's almost on a weekly basis. The quote here, I've talked to Aaron regularly, and we will continue to do so. It's a process that he's going through, and we've had very positive conversations on a weekly basis. McCarthy continued elsewhere. The nature of his conversations with Rodgers, just like they always are, life, football, what's going on at the facility. So he's really engaged with what's going on. I like that about Rodgers' chances of coming back. Really, this whole overall vibe that I got from McCarthy today, talking about Rodgers, feels like he is a guy who is expecting Rodgers to be back and might be blindsided if he isn't. Said that the dialogue between he and Rodgers on the situation currently, and Rodgers, I believe, contemplating his future as well. The dialogue has been comfortable. That has occurred. So the latest from McCarthy, no new news on, if there's a deadline or anything, if there's contract talks. We remember the last time that Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show, he said that the Steelers had no contract offer available to him, but it does sound like to me, McCarthy here talking about Rodgers being engaged with what's going on at the facility. I'm sure Rodgers very excited about the addition of Michael Pittman. More on him here in a second. Sounds like McCarthy knows he's coming. Rodgers, I think, knows he's coming, but they're still another year of this, not in any sort of a rush or hurry to get a deal done. Maybe it happens before the NFL draft. I think Steelers owner Art Rooney II said he expects a decision from Rodgers before the draft here, but got to be coming soon. But still feels like it's going to happen eventually. We just don't know where or when. I'm sure everybody would have loved to know by this point, but still nothing in the immediate on the Aaron Rodgers front. Talks are progressing. No, but are talks positive? I'd say so, at least from what we're getting from McCarthy. And also, if talks were bad, I mean, who the hell knows? He'd be putting on a smiley, good guy face at the same time. But hey, taken away from his mannerisms and tone of voice, I like to think something good for Rodgers and the Steelers here is coming in the not too distant future. Also, maybe the reason why they haven't gotten a deal done yet, maybe it's a who will blink first situation. Even though, talks may be positive, maybe a silent war or silent battle being waged between the two sides. You've had over the weekend Rodgers, a rumor about Rodgers is that he's seeking a contract closer to $30 million this season for the Steelers. Of course, Rodgers played at 13 last year. No real sources behind that rumor, but Rodgers apparently, or rumorly at least, wanting $30 million. Meanwhile, the Steelers today, you had, I believe, some other insiders, Tom Pelisseros of the world, put out there that the Steelers could end up circling back to Kirk Cousins again. I know how we all feel about that. Kirk Cousins, even more immobile than Aaron Rodgers, and really lost any sort of star power he was gaining there in Minnesota. But according to Pelissero, Steelers had interest in trading for Cousins last year as they were waiting for Rodgers. Now he's a free agent, available to sign anywhere. Could the Steelers end up, maybe Rodgers is saying, pay me $30 million. Steelers are saying, oh, but we could sign Kirk Cousins. We'll see who blinks first in this, who can pee farther up the tree battle between Rodgers and the Steelers. Sure, once, an agreement does get made, they'll all come back. Everything's, perfectly fine. We knew this was going to happen forever. No ill will, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. More from Mike McCarthy at the league meetings down in Phoenix, Arizona today. Talked about Michael Pittman a little bit. McCarthy called Pittman the perfect fit for the Steeler. Says, I loved Michael Pittman coming out of the draft. He's a bigger target, can play all three spots, can play X, Z, and the F, can move him around. There from McCarthy. Sounds like he is very excited to have a jack of all trades in this offense and a legit number 2/number 1 wide receiver, depending on how you line up he and DK Metcalf on the depth chart. Most interesting thing from that, talking about Pittman and how he can move all around. We knew that, obviously, from his time with the Colts here, but think, most fans, including myself, I'm no one to exclude myself from this. Thinking about the draft here, you obviously got the two big bodies, Metcalf, who's like 6'5", built like a brick, what house, and then you got Pittman as well, who Pittman is 6'4", but isn't as physically built out as Metcalf is. You think, when you think ahead to the draft here, Steelers still need to add another wide receiver because they got those two guys, and then you're looking at the Ben Skoranek and Roman Wilsons of the world. Maybe Steelers go with a smaller, shiftier guy like a Mekhi Lemon, if God, shouldn't he fall, Casey Conception, a couple other, smaller guys as well. Now that, you got McCarthy saying that Pittman can play all over, maybe they do just say, screw it, we're going to have just a all-mountain wide receiver room. We'll move Pittman into the slot. We'll go and we'll take a big body like a Denzel Boston, like a Carnell Tate trade up to get him, a Chris Brazzell from Tennessee. Maybe we do just continue stacking these tall as hell, go up and get it wide receivers, and then we'll move Pittman to the slot, and we'll work with what we've got with the big guys. But very interesting. I am really intrigued by where the Steelers are going to go here with this wide receiver search in the draft. They're going to draft one, maybe even two eventually in the draft, but the type of guy that they draft, it's going to be very, very intriguing, to say the least here. They go with a smaller, quicker guy, or do they, say, hey, Pittman, work out of the slot. We're just going to have another big target threat to pair with Metcalf here, and you still a big guy, for a slot. You can work the middle of the field. We'll see there. Very interesting. Some more from McCarthy. Speaking of the draft, said he's excited about the quarterback class. Also said he's excited to work with Will Howard. Still talking up the quarterback class here. I assume that means the Steelers are indeed going to eventually take one. Honestly, I mean, at this point, the Steelers, they have their hearts set on bringing back Rodgers for another year, and Rodgers feels the same. Wouldn't be shocked if, say, Rodgers comes back, they end up cutting Mason Rudolph loose and, having a quarterback room behind Rodgers of Will Howard as the backup, and then maybe another young quarterback in this class behind Howard. I mean, really all the guys the Steelers have brought in to this point, we have no idea anymore whether there's true interest in Ty Simpson. I think the Steelers met with him at the Combine, but other than that, aside from a few mock drafts, no smoke to the Ty Simpson fire. All the other guys Steelers could be interested in: Drew Aller, Carson Beck, sure Garrett Nussmeier is somewhere in there, Cole Payton from South Dakota State. So McCarthy, he's intrigued by the quarterback class. He's a quarterback developer. If he likes one of those guys, he's going to get it, and then we'll figure out if Aaron comes back and if, Mason gets let go of after that. Some last minor things here from McCarthy. Said it feels good about how the Steelers did in free agency and not, leaving one position too exposed ahead of the draft. I said that the left guard competition between Brock Hoffman and Spencer Anderson is going to be a really good veteran competition. Leading that, hearing that from McCarthy, unless it's a big smokescreen here, do not all of a sudden like the chances of Venga Ioane going to the Steelers. McCarthy's calling it a really good veteran competition battle between Hoffman and Anderson. Don't think Ioane at left guard is going to be on the Steelers' radar then, unless it's a big smokescreen. I hope it is. I would go nuts anymore for a Venga Ioane here for the Steelers. Actually got the phonetic pronunciation of Ioane's name down over the past couple of days. I believe it's Oli Venga Ioane. So try to get that to better roll off the tongue between now and draft night. Last two things here from Mike McCarthy today at the NFL annual meetings. Said he thinks Roman Wilson could benefit from a fresh start with the new coaching staff. Think Wilson's going to get out of the doghouse. Maybe that would be quite all right with me, giving Roman Wilson just one more shot. I mean, I have no idea what sort of crap list he made onto Mike Tomlin's radar there. But if anybody's going to get Roman Wilson fixed, maybe it is the more offensively minded Mike McCarthy. And the last thing here from McCarthy said that he has not made it to any more pro days other than Georgia's, which was 2 weeks ago. I think we've talked about that here on the channel before. You know, where the hell is the Steelers' big brass representation at these pro days? They didn't have anybody at Penn State's pro day because they went to Georgia's pro day. They didn't have too many big wigs at the Ohio State pro day. I believe the biggest decision maker, influence person of the group at Ohio State's pro day was assistant GM Andy Weidel. And then nobody except for Ike Taylor. Got my legendary Steelers DBs mixed up there. Ike Taylor. He was pretty much the only Steeler guy at Alabama's pro day. Miami, their pro day only had the senior director of pro scouting or something there, and Dan Colbert there as well. So McCarthy said only Georgia's pro day is the one he's been to. He said other situations and circumstances have prevented him from going to more. He said that the Steelers' idea was for McCarthy and Omar Khan to go to 6 pro days, but they have only been able to make it to the one. I'm hoping that doesn't really harm the Steelers when it comes to talent evaluation and making decisions for draft days. I think McCarthy, most off, for being real here, he's focused on making sure the new coaching staff and the offense and the defense and all that, the football aspects of things really get situated firstly, and then secondly, he'll focus on the draft here. But looking at McCarthy, they've only gone to 1 pro day, and he's busy, getting the offensive or the, football side of things all squared away. The draft might be looking at a situation where it's all Andy Weidel and the scouting staff and Omar Khan. Who's to say that Mike McCarthy's going to have a big say here on draft day? He did say that it's big for, the first draft class to hit when you're working with a new organization, but not sure how much of that say McCarthy's going to have. I mean, I'm sure they'll listen to what he says, but it's not like McCarthy's been to every single pro day here. So that's the latest on the Steelers. McCarthy down at the NFL annual meetings talking today. Still sounds like, even though they're still having a stare-down match, Rodgers will eventually be a Steeler. Steelers could be looking wide receiver and quarterback in the draft. Guard, I feel less good about at this point in time, and we'll see how things roll out between now and draft day. Draft day coming up about 3 or so weeks from now. Hey, of you still hanging in here on this Friday evening. Back here to the comments section before we get into our final top story of the day here. Concepts. What's going on, Concepts? How happy to have you here. Pitman, name just fits so well. Michael Pittman Jr. Definitely add another wide receiver or two for sure in the draft. Also, Roman is going to be a good player here. I still believe in him. Also hoping we add more to the room. I still think you add two to the room because you think right now at the Steelers wide receiver room, you got four names. You got DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. Huge, absolutely craterous gap between talent. And then Ben Skowronek and Roman Wilson. Wilson, who's, still trying to find a way onto the field. And Ben Skowronek, who's, a core special teams guy. So with this being a more offensively minded head coach and team now with McCarthy, I'd like to think they're going to keep 6 wide receivers on the roster instead of just, the usual 5 we used to see with Mike Tomlin. I think you're going to see 2 guys get picked up in the draft. Maybe a special teams return guy late in the draft, a return man like a Kendrick Law, a Caden Wetjen, something like that, Jeff Caldwell, but a wide receiver in the first 2 picks at most. At the furthest in the draft, the first 3 picks of the draft, you're definitely going to see a wide receiver there. My ideal world, and I hate that McCarthy said, we like the competition between Hoffman and Anderson. I'm praying that it's a Steelers. My ideal first 2 picks for the Steelers. Venga Ioane somehow falls to you at 21. You pick up him, boom, insert your starting left guard for the next decade alongside Zach Frazier. And then you move up. You got 12 draft picks if you're the Steelers. You move up in the second round. Maybe a Casey Concepcion or an Omar Cooper Jr., Denzel Boston, someone like that falls to you in the second round. Falls out of the first round into the second, or if you stick and pick at the second round, it'd also be cool if you pick up a Zachariah Branch or Jeremy Bernard, Jacoby Lane, something like that. Skylar Bell. We'll see here. Definitely a ton of wide receiver talent. Just really hope the Steelers end up making the right pick and also addressing some other big needs. Concepts here again. If you had the number 1 overall pick, would you be happy taking Mendoza, or would you consider him a reach if you remove the need? Is he only the number 1 pick because of how bad the quarterback class is in your eyes? The quarterback class, it does look a bit like the Kenny Pickett, draft class in 2022, where Pickett was, I think, far and away the number 1, the only guy, worth taking in the first round. And then you had Malik Willis. This year's Malik Willis is Ty Simpson, and then after that, massive drop-off. But to be honest here, with what Mendoza showed in college, if it was truly that bad of a draft class for quarterbacks, then Mendoza, no freaking way he wins the Heisman over Jeremiah Love or something like that. If Mendoza was, truly that weak was truly, only the best of a bad class, then Jeremiah Love gets the Heisman, no doubt. But Mendoza, seeing what he did at Indiana, it's either like, he's no Caleb Williams or anything like that. But could he, in the right situation, be a long-term answer at the quarterback position? Absolutely, yes. Now, if I'm the Steelers, if I have the first-round pick, now all of a sudden I'm plotting in Fernando Mendoza, who's a tough SOB, knows how to win there at Indiana. He's got DK Metcalf to his left, Michael Pittman to his right for right now. He's got Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington at tight end. Excellent backfield. Hopefully getting more solid in terms of future success, offensive line in front of him. Offensive coach and quarterback developer and Mike McCarthy. I think that, Mendoza would do excellent here in Pittsburgh. But again, here, don't mean to diss on your comment here. As hypothetical talk, we'll have to wait and see if Steelers end up getting a quarterback, prospect like that, maybe next year's draft when it's supposed to be a good bit better. Concepts here. I think McCarthy just showing confidence in the guys currently. Any chance to upgrade should never be ignored. Agreed. I'm hoping, just typical coach speak and fodder well, not fodder, just typical, hyping up our guys, saying, "Oh, everything's perfect. The draft is right around the corner." Well, we got a pretty damn good team without adding anybody in the draft right now. I'm sure that's what McCarthy's saying there. Typical politically correct coach speak, right there. Get Venga, and then trade up for KC all day. But sadly, I think KC will go around our first pick. Very underrated prospect in my eyes. Absolutely agreed. Casey Conception just had a bit of the case of the dropsies, but very well put together player. Right upstairs, on field talent is undeniable. I mean, if the Steelers took him at with their first pick, I'd be happy with it. I honestly would, but at the same time, if there's like a Jordan Tyson, a Makai Lemon, Venga Ioane, one of those guys around those parts, as much as I love Casey Conception, I can't take him over any of those guys. I'll have to wait and see. Now, if you get a Casey Conception and then maybe pick up one of those other good guards like Ioane, by far and away, kind of like Mendoza at the quarterback position, Ioane, far and away the best guard in this class, but behind him, still some good guards. Manuel Pregnon, Chase Besantis from Texas A&M, got a Jennings Dunker from Iowa. Wouldn't mind picking up those guys, too, with a Conception or a Tyson. Still on board fully with the idea. Now, I leave this opinion subject to change down the line and with the way waiting to see how the draft board shakes out. But if I'm the Steelers right now and I'm sitting there, my first two picks of this draft, one is going to a guard, one is going to a wide receiver. But of course, we got to wait and see how things fall around us as well before we alter those plans. 8 of you still in here right now, approaching an hour into the show here this evening. Going to quickly breeze through one final top story here for this evening. Then we'll get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news and call it a show here tonight. Moving into baseball for the first time today. The official first series of the 2026 season for your Pittsburgh Pirates is in the books, and they were able to salvage one game from their series with the New York Mets. Of course, we were all here back on Thursday when it was just a disaster for the Pirates in game number 1 of the season. Paul Skeens didn't make it out of the first inning. O'Neal Cruz, a couple of dropped balls in the outfield. The bats just could not keep up with the New York Mets. Pirates were better, but still not all the way there over their last 2 games of that series against New York. Back on Saturday, the Pirates trotted out a very rough to look at lineup, on paper at least. Jared Triolo, he was leading off at shortstop. Jake Mangum was batting 9th in center field. You also gave Henry Davis and Marcelo Zuna off days by inserting Nick York and Joey Bart into the lineup. O'Neal Cruz, he did not play in game number 2 of the season, even though Donnie Kelly did, say before the game that it was a planned off day for O'Neal Cruz because the Mets were throwing lefty. After that, horrid performance, would not be shocked if the sitting of Cruz was both planned and if Donnie at the same time said, hey, you got to get your stuff together here. We're going to be out there. You'd still be sitting right of the season was a wake-up call for him. Cruz actually, should take that as a massive wake-up call because he's got some legit competition behind him now for the outfield spots. Mangum, Justinson Garcia down in AAA, some other prospects who two knocking on the door of the majors, but I talked too much there. Cruz not playing. Jake Mangum in the game for O'Neal Cruz made an excellent catch out at center field against the Mets in the 3rd inning of that game. Hell of a grab from him. Could be your sleeper, fan favorite Pirate who contributes a whole lot. So good stuff from Mangum right there. You had Mitch Keller pitching in game 2 of the season for the Bucs, and he did typical Mitch Keller things. Went out there, shoved for 6 innings, and got the hell out of there. 6 innings of scoreless baseball for Keller. Lowers his career ERA against the Mets to 179. He didn't have his, strikeout stuff. I believe he only had 3 strikeouts, did Mitch, but getting good outs, some weak contact from the Mets in that game. Very nice to see from Mitch. The pitching was the story from this ball game. After Mitch was done with his 6 innings, first 9 innings of the ball game, they went to extras. Pirates did get on the board with the extra base runner on the automatic base runner in the top of the 10th. Nick Gonzalez driving in, I believe, Brian Reynolds. Mets tied it up in the bottom of the 10th. Back to the top of the 11th, Brian Reynolds had a swinging bunt down the third base line that stayed fair. Jake Mangum came in to score. 2-1 Bucs. I believe Hunter Barco came in to the game for the Pirates, trying to close it on down. Barco, unfortunately, leaving a breaking ball just a tad bit too high to Luis Robert Jr. Honestly, it was a half-decent location, but ball needed to drop further out of the zone. Luis Robert golfing a 3-run walk-off home run out against the Pirates. The Mets end up taking game 2 against the Bucs 4-2 on a walk-off. A pitcher's duel between the 2 pitching staffs lost by the Pirates. Then yesterday, game 3 of the season, back to a more normal lineup for the Pirates. I think Marcell Ozuna was given the off day again, or maybe it was, no, that was going back to the Saturday game. That was Cruz who was off. Ozuna did play. Ozuna was off yesterday for the Bucs. Cruz back in there in the leadoff spot. Actually contributed on the first run of the ball game. Did O'Neill. Walked, flew around the base pads, came home on a Ryan O'Hearn little flare the opposite way. Made it 1-0 Bucs in the first inning. Mets did tie it up in the top or in the bottom of the second inning, but then Brandon Lau, top of the third, a no doubt solo shot for Brandon Lau, 390 feet to right center field, a home run in every single ballpark across Major League Baseball. That now makes it 3 home runs in 3 games for Mr. Brandon Lau, on pace to hit 162 home runs this season after hitting 31 last year with the Rays. Tell me he does not love wearing the black and gold. Carmen Mlodzinski was on the bump for the Bucs in that game yesterday. Did not go the 5 full innings to get a win, but did have a good first start of the year. Ended up giving up 2 runs. He exited after the Mets tied up the ball game in the 4th inning, but 6 hits against for Mlodzinski, 2 earned runs, no walks, so control and discipline in the strike zone was right there. 8 strikeouts for Carmen Mlodzinski yesterday. That is a career high for Mlodzinski. Hell of an outing for him. His new pitches that he, implemented this offseason, they were really working against the Mets lineup. He struck out, actually, to begin the ball game, Lindor, Soto, and Bo Bichette. He struck out probably over $1 billion in career earnings in order to begin the ball game. That was on the road to getting a career high 8 strikeouts. Good stuff from Mlodzinski. Was, skeptical about him getting another rotation spot, but hey, if he's got those new pitches working, I mean, keep going with a start like that. We'll, see how he works through, third time through the lineup another day here. But good first start of the year for Mlodzinski. Pirates bullpen, they went on lockdown mode for the rest of the game from there, pretty much as well. Isaac Mattson, Mason Montgomery, Johan Ramirez doing their job. Dennis Santana, a 1-2-3, bottom of the 9th inning to send the games to extra innings again, 2nd day in a row. Again, kind of like the night before. You got the Pirates getting that automatic runner home. Ryan O'Hearn wastes no time. Brian Reynolds scores. O'Hearn completed a 3-for-5 day for himself. And then Henry Davis. How about that, Hank? Taking the ball the other way. Something we saw at the end of spring training. Very glad that he is not pulling everything to death now down the left field line. Hank, little blooper out there to right center field. That scores another run. Made it 4-2 Pirates. In the bottom of the 10th, you had the Mets. Soto up to bat. Drills one to the left center gap. It one hops the wall. And O'Neal Cruz, I guess more or less making up for his first game of the season, plays the ball off the wall. A strong throw to Jared Triolo, who then Triolo's relay cuts down the tying run, Francisco Lindor, at home plate. The Mets did score one off of that double from Soto. Francisco Alvarez, the catcher, came in and scored, but Francisco Lindor trying to score from first base. Cruz to Triolo to Davis, gunning down the tying run at the plate. Also, hell of a tag by Henry Davis. I mean, he had to just, make a hell of a play. Came and tagged Lindor, not on purpose, right in the face. Knocked Lindor out damn near. But out was recorded. Game tying run X'd out at the plate. There was another deep shot to the warning track, I believe, from someone, I forget, for the Mets. Right after that, Billy Cook made the catch. The Pirates hold on to their first win of the season, 4-3, the final score yesterday in Flushing, New York. Now the Bucs, thankfully, getting away from New York, and instead they are in Cincinnati tonight. As a matter of fact, first pitch is going to be coming up here in a couple of minutes. The Pirates tonight taking on the Cincinnati Reds, game one of a 3-game series. You'll be Braxton Ashcraft on the bump tonight against Chase Burns. Then Bubba Chandler will pitch tomorrow. Paul Skeens will pitch Wednesday before the Pirates then open up at home, the regular season at home on Friday. Also, last thing on the Bucs right now, the lineup for tonight's game, pretty much the same exact lineup that they ran back for opening day. O'Neal Cruz, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, Marcell Ozuna, Ryan O'Hearn, Jared Triolo, Spencer Horwitz, Nick Gonzalez, and Henry Davis. Let's go Bucs. Hopefully they are able to go and get back to 500 here on the season. Would love that quite a bit if you're the Pirates here. 6 of you in here right now. Welcome to the Steel City Sports Report. On your way in, please hit that like and subscribe button. Share this live stream as well. Gonna now shift things over to our extra Pittsburgh sports news here for the day. We're just gonna roll right along here and begin to wrap this thing up here on this Monday evening. Back into football, ladies and gentlemen. Not too much extra, major Steelers news here today. Just a couple of cool things going on. The NFL draft stage is officially under construction outside of Acrisure Stadium. Pictures today from the south, from the North Shore, I should say. The stage for the draft going to be set up right outside Acrisure Stadium in front of the Steelers Hall of Honor and the Steelers Pro Shop. This stage going to take up a ton of ground there. So now Acrisure Stadium area, good luck if you're navigating that area by car. Speaking of the draft, apparently some streamer out there named Lacey, he said that he could be announcing a Steelers NFL draft pick. I mean, maybe I'm showing my age here. Who the hell is Lacey? No idea who that dude is. Really hope he doesn't make a draft pick. The last few things here related to the Steelers. The Browns, Cleveland Browns, Steelers rivals. They were set to sign defensive end A.J. Epinesa, the former Buffalo Bill. But apparently the Browns are now backing out of finalizing that deal after concerns about Epinesa's physical. Leave it to the Cleveland Browns to try to pull a Baltimore Ravens and fail physically. Hey, guys, look, we could back out of a deal for a pass rusher as well because we were concerned about his physical. Typical little brother Cleveland Brown behavior right there. Last few things here on the Steelers. Cool moment. WWE superstar Chelsea Green was in the Steelers facility back on Friday. Got to visit with Joey Porter Jr. and Cam Hayward, kick a couple of field goals there as well. The Steelers then, in return, attended Friday Night SmackDown this past Friday. Troy Fautanu, Y.A. Black, two large men were in the crowd. Hilarious, those guys sitting in those little chairs right there. Speaking of big guys, the last comment here, or last thing here of the day for the Steelers. Congratulations to Spencer Anderson. He officially getting married over the weekend. Congratulations to Spence. Also, congratulations as we switch over here to hockey. Did not mention this for the Penguins game back on Saturday night. Sam Girard, new Penguins defenseman, played in his 600th NHL game back on Saturday night. Congratulations to him. Some more congratulations. Congrats to the Wheeling Nailers, the ECHL affiliate of the Penguins. They, just like the AHL Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, punched their ticket to the postseason. They clinched playoffs back on Saturday. Good stuff from the Nailers. Keep going. One guy who played for the Nailers not all that long ago, Sergei Murashov, goaltender down in the AHL for the Penguins. Still red hot. Still looking like he could be the Pens goaltender of the future. 33 saves and only one goal against back on Saturday for the Baby Pens. He is locked in right now down in the minors. Makes you think, Stu Skinner, good game against Ottawa. Couple hiccups against the Dallas Stars. Artur Shilovs, he's starting for the Pens tonight. Who knows what kind of version of him we're going to get. Still seeing, every other night, a Sergei Murashov stat line from the AHL. Makes you think, man, just to, help close this thing out for the Pens. Maybe see what the kids got here. I know you're in a tight playoff race, but getting a goaltender that the opponent hasn't seen up here to get some work in before playoffs, maybe see what he has. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Last two things here for the Penguins today. Happy birthday to Rutger McGroarty, fresh off of a call-up in his first game back in the lineup 2 nights ago. I assume he'll be in the lineup again here tonight for the Pens. And speaking of young forwards like Rutger McGroarty, the Philadelphia Flyers mentioned that they're quickly flying up the Pens rearview mirror right now. 8-1-1 in their last 10 games are the Flyers, and they are getting reinforcements. They are signing 6th overall in this past summer's draft. Martone, excellent, gritty power forward who produces. He is now going to join the Flyers for this playoff push. That now makes, if I'm thinking correctly here, behind the Flyers, actually, in the Metropolitan Division, didn't say this, because they're 83 points. They've got a bigger hole to dig out than, say, the Flyers do. You've now had, in the Metropolitan Division, you had the Washington Capitals, who are, even more on the outside looking in than the Flyers. They signed one of their young studs that they recently drafted, Cole Hudson. You had, maybe we see him tonight in the Islanders lineup, Cole Yzerman for the Islanders. He signed like last week. And now you got Porter Martone going here to the Philadelphia Flyers. Maybe Ben Kindle, being a young, unexpected star he is. Maybe he is kind of like the, heading into playoffs, young guy ad. But got to be totally honest here. I'm not sure if the Pens will do it. You see the other teams around you add these young, bright stars budding, into the NHL. And injuries at center right now. No Blake Lizotte, no Sidney Crosby. I've got to check the lineup here in a minute. Maybe you do bring in a Will Horkoff, see what he can offer you, and then get him in the lineup that way. Help offset some of these other young studs getting added to your rivals' lineups. Wrapping up here, last few things here on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Connor Griffin down there in AAA, off to a red-hot start for AAA Indianapolis Indians after getting sent down by the Pirates. He's still looking more and more like he is going to be a hell of a player when he makes it to the big leagues here. Hopefully not in the long-term future. Griffin down in AAA, 500 batting average through 3 AAA games. He's got, I think, 2 stolen bases and 3 walks, so being more patient up at the plate, drawing walks. Also catching up to the fastball a little bit more. I think those were the 2 things the Pirates really wanted to see from him, that he's, drawing some walks and that he's, catching up to the fastball. Looks like Griffin's doing both of those things right now. Do not be surprised if you see here in the next 2 weeks or so, I believe April 9th is the deadline. If the Pirates bring up Griffin before April 9th, then they will get some sort of prospect promotion incentivized draft pick in a pretty high round in next year's draft. So Pirates could be playing the long game while also calling up their top prospect at the same time. Keep an eye on Connor Griffin. Also keep an eye on contract talks surrounding Griffin. According to Noah Hiles from 93.7 The Fan, contract talks with Griffin have kind of slowed because the season has started, but the Pirates and Griffin will come to terms on an extension eventually. Also, Griffin back on Friday was on 93.7 The Fan himself. He says he wants to be a Pirate for a long time, wants to be a part of the great rebuild. So keep an eye on Connor Griffin. Extension talks and promotions could be coming here sooner than anybody thinks. Going from one guy who could be the future of Pirates baseball and Griffin to one guy who used to be that. Andrew McCutchen off to a red-hot start with the Texas Rangers through, I think, 3 games with the Rangers, a 500 batting average, 2 RBIs, 2 home runs, and a home run for Kutch, as the Rangers had a successful weekend against the Philadelphia Phillies. Don't want to, write Marcell Ozuna off yet as the Pirates DH. He still, factually has more power than Andrew McCutchen, and the Pirates need power. But seeing Kutch tear it up with Texas, loved seeing Kutch doing that. At the same time, still, Ozuna gotta be a guy. Gotta be a guy, because it would just look bad if you let go of your franchise legend in McCutchen and he destroys it in Texas. Still early in the season, though. Last 2 things on the Pirates. Former Pirate manager Derek Shelton would not put it past him to be the first to do this. He was the first manager ever to get ejected off of an ABS challenge. Shelton got tossed the other day when the Minnesota Twins, I think Josh Bell walked. The Orioles challenged a pitch. The call was overturned. Josh Bell struck out, and Shelton was livid, saying that they did not, tap their hat or helmet or whatever to get the challenge off in time. So Shelton, the first ever manager to be ejected off of an ABS challenge. That is hilarious. And the last thing here for the Bucs here, this will be pretty cool. The next time we'll be live for a Pittsburgh Pirate game will be Friday for the home opener. 2 Pirate legends from the 2000s will be throwing out the first pitch at the Pirates home opener at PNC Park. Brian Giles and Jason Kendall returning to Pittsburgh for the ceremonial first pitches of the game. That is pretty cool there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is pretty much going to wrap it up here tonight. Going to flip over to the Pirate game here in a moment. Also, the hockey game starting up here in about 15 minutes, I would say. So everybody, feel free to have a good rest of your Monday night. Go and turn on the Pens, cheer them on to a win. Looking here, Sidney Crosby, is he in the lineup here? Looking for the Pens lineup. Sidney Crosby is back in the lineup. Good stuff right there. The Pens lineup, I believe, is out. Let me look here. Where's the Pens lineup? They post it. Yes, indeed. Sidney Crosby returning to the Penguins lineup tonight against the Islanders. Crosby 140 points versus the New York Islanders the most by any active player against any one team. I thought, Sid would have the most points against any one team among active players. I thought that would be the Flyers, but interesting. It's against the Islanders. Bit of a mix-up, a shake-up in the line here, too, by Dan Muse. Crosby will be centering Igor Chinikov and Brian Rust. They keep Ricard Raquel as a center, centering Anthony Mantha and Justin Brazeau. And then Ben Kindle with Tommy Novak. Novak getting transitioned from center to wing. And Avery Hayes comes into the lineup for Rutger McGroarty, Connor Dewar, Nola Chari, Elmer Soderblom. The fourth line, the only line staying together tonight against the Islanders. That is wild there from Dan Muse. Tommy Novak, who's been a center pretty much all season, now on the wing. And Raquel, who's, normally a winger, is going to stay at center after being a center the other night. And for the first time in forever, the Raquel Crosby Rust line broken up. We'll see how it plays out for Dan Muse. Defense pairings, they stay the same, and Arturs Shilovs is in net. So very interesting there from Dan Muse. Let's hope that it pans out for him, and let's hope that it pans out for the Pens. They've got a tall task ahead of them here tonight. Let's see here what's going on. Last comment here. They signed Griffin to a long extension. We will still be in a rebuild when his extension is up. Yeah, indeed. We will still be in a rebuild when the extension is up. Also, Connor Griffin may not see the end of that extension, with being honest here, and things keep going the way they have been for the past decade for the Pirates. He'll be traded away with like 2 or 3 years left on that extension to, get back not just a bag of chips, but get maybe a Snickers bar and a bag of chips as well. Because that's how Bob Nutting and the boys like to do business. I'll believe the extension when I see it. Bob going to pony up some money like that? We'll have to wait and see. All right, that's going to do it here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Go Pens, go Bucs, Steelers. Please don't mess up the draft. Those are my final words here tonight. Pens in a big one. Do or die right now with their playoff chances riding on this game for the most part tonight. Pirates, go beat the hell out of the Reds. While you're at it, make us feel twice as nice. Thank you all. On your way out, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel again. Like, share, leave a comment in the comment section, your thoughts, questions, and opinions. And go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Come back in at some point later on this evening for a new edition of SCSR 60. Have a good rest of your Monday night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go Bucs. Let's go Pens. We'll be back here either tomorrow or Wednesday to talk about it all. Peace.